Welcome in, everybody, to Girl, How'd You Get That Gig? For my co-host, Celeste Gehring, I'm Amy G, and we're so excited to introduce you to Miss Taylor Turner, the Assistant Sports Media Relations Manager at Loyola Marymount University. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. I know that title is a mouthful. Sometimes I just tell people Media Relations Manager because it's so long.
Yeah,
I just
but
a little bit.
it's kind of boss-like, though, you know?
It is boss-like.
I'm just saying.
Start saying the whole thing.
Yep, make people say the whole thing. You earned it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, what do you think, Celeste? Let's get into it.
Let's get into the interview.
Let's do it.
What exactly is your job as the Assistant Sports Media Relations Manager? The mouthful of your title. What exactly is it?
So it's media relations, communications. I am basically the middleman for all my sports. I have let's do it by seasons. I have women's volleyball, women's basketball, women's tennis, men and women's rowing, and softball. So what I do for them is everything you see on the website, updating their headshots, their bios, making sure at the end of every game I'm posting the file of the box scores. I write stories as well, so the game recaps. And then when it comes to interviews, whenever anybody wants to interview the players or interview the coaches, they should know to go through me first, just so that I can know what it is that that they're going to be talking about, and I can just have it on my schedule. And sometimes they'll go straight to the players or to the coach, but then they'll tell me, they're like, "Hey, I have this person reaching out who wants to do an interview. Is that okay? Like, can we talk about this and this? Like, can we not talk about that?" Mm-hmm. So that's what I do as far as like not on game days. And then on game days, so we don't have a social media team at LMU. So I run our social as well for my teams. So I'll post our in-game graphics, our scores, just to keep the followers updated, since if they're not there, as well as a little bit of operations, I could say, as well. When on game days, I have to set up our stats computer, and just what else? Little things, I guess, little operation things like that. But every day is different. It's not all the same. It depends on what's going on, how many games we have, if there's media day, pictures. It's a lot, but it's fun. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, and I also travel. So I have one travel sport, which is women's basketball. And that's how I met Celeste. I was traveling, and we were at St. Mary's, right?
University of the Pacific.
It was that trip. So we played both teams. And so, so I've traveled with the women's basketball team, and that's really, really nice because I get to like bond with the players and with the coaches and build like that relationship where they feel like they can trust me with really just anything. And they know that if I come to them with an interview request, it's not going to be anything like fugazi. It'll be like a legit good opportunity,
Yeah, and sidebar on that, and that's what I was trying to jump in and talk about, is, Amy and I talk about this all the time. There are women in the industry, and then there are ballers in the industry. And what I loved about you, Taylor, is there are so few sports information directors who come and check in with the broadcasters. So being an analyst for Pacific, it was so great, Amy, because Taylor came over. She went over the pronunciation of the players to make sure that we had them down. She was like, I'll handwrite you a note if anybody is like breaking, they have their season high or career high. She was just all over it. And there has been only one other SID since I've done this job who's come and done that. So there are like the professional ballers, and there are just people that are in the industry. And so I was just like, we got to have on Taylor. We just have to have her on.
Yes. No, you were just so easy to talk to. And then we also had a mutual friend. So I was like, you know what? Yes.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, and you may have already said it, but in case anybody doesn't know SID, it's a sports information director. Yes. And so Taylor probably serves as that on the road and in multiple instances. So it is not surprising at all of the things you listed to me that you have to do, especially because you're at the college level. And for the folks listening and watching, a lot of times it is a for lack of a better term, a one-man band, right? A one-woman band in your case at the college level, high school level. And then when you get to the professional level, the team starts to expand a little bit. But with that said, you are learning so many different things, which will help you carve out your path as you grow. What do you enjoy most about where you're at right now? And what do you feel is the most challenging part of what you're doing?
So let's see where I'm at right now. You kind of mentioned it, just being able to learn a little bit of everything. At first, because I have experience working in communications, but it had been like part-time game day staff for like the Clippers and the Chargers and back home with the Texans. I never worked full-time, so I learned so much my first year being at LMU because it's only my second year. And I used to complain about like, why am I doing all this? Like I signed up to be communications and why am I trying to do social and all this
Yeah,
stuff?
the technical side and
At first, but then now I'm like, you know what? That actually makes me a good candidate for like whatever I want to do in the future. Like I can do this, I can do that. So I think that's something that I've learned and that I've truly enjoyed is just being able to learn the new things that I didn't know how to do. And I also learned a lot of new sports. I'm a basketball girly. Basketball has been life, ball is life. I did play soccer growing up and a little bit of taekwondo, but the sports that I'm responsible over, a lot of them I've never I've never went to a volleyball game in high school or in college. Never went to a softball game.
Isn't volleyball awesome?
It is so fun.
Amy played volleyball.
Fun.
I played volleyball.
You played volleyball?
I played volleyball.
Yeah. What position?
Outside hitter.
Okay. Yeah. So like I didn't know anything. So I had to learn what an outside hitter was, what a libero.
A million years ago. Yeah. That's how long ago it was, Taylor. We didn't have a libero. Like
really?
the game has evolved since I played. Yes. But yes.
So there's also just being able to learn about new sports and like rowing. I had no idea anything.
Right. Yeah.
And I was up and honest with the coaches, like, hey, I don't know much about this sport, but I want to learn. So if you can teach me and just tell me what like verbiage, especially like when I'm writing the game recap or match recaps,
right?
I want to be able to use the right verbiage. And I, didn't know anything, but now I do. I know what a coxswain.
Yes.
What a coxswain is.
Yes.
And a novice. But then back to the original question, you said, what do
you enjoy most? What's the most challenging part?
The most challenging for me, probably just because I'm new to this, the hours. When I graduated college, I worked as the regular like 9 to 5 school or job. And so I went to work at 9, I was done at 5. Nobody talked to me on the weekends. And then I was just back on Monday. Whereas this job, sports does not sleep. No. Sports does not sleep at all. So there's times when I get calls from coaches or text messages and it's after hours and I have to respond or something happens. I need to post a story or I need to post on social. And then also we don't have breaks like everybody else at the university does. So during Christmas break or winter break, we had games.
Yes.
And during Thanksgiving, like during that time, we had games. Last year, we had a Thanksgiving tournament. And so we were working during those times when everybody else at the university is off, at home, chilling. We're still in the mix.
Having turkey.
Yeah, right. We're in the mix getting it done. But it's worth it. It's fun. It's definitely fun.
I think that's a really hard part of being in sports is what you miss out on socially, because like you mentioned, there and now especially there aren't really off seasons to anything. So even though college basketball may be over, maybe you're on a coaching search or they're recruiting or they're giving tours or, there's always something happening even in the off season. And it is hard. And your family has to be really patient with you missing out on stuff or like come to you for Thanksgiving, some changes to be made. Yeah.
And sometimes it's the best experience too, though. When I played basketball at LSU, just not being able to go home because Idaho was too far away, I got to try turducken and all these amazing foods because, you know, I went to LSU. So we had like that Southern cooking that was so good. So sometimes, you know, it really helped the team bond. But yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to it, right? So,
Yeah,
you know,
there's good
speaking,
team bonding stuff.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And speaking of the South, Taylor, you know, Friday Night Lights is just a huge thing. And unless you go to the South and experience a college football game or a high school football game, like I don't think you comprehend, you know,
Oh,
Friday Night Lights. Like you just don't
girl.
get it. And I find it fascinating. You grew up, you know, playing basketball and doing
Mhm.
taekwondo, but did you go to a lot of football games? Did you?
I sure did. In high school, I did. And then in college, I went to Texas A&M. So that was a big football school, or big universities in general, but then football. And I was there when Johnny Manziel was there. So I was able to watch many of his games when he won Heisman. I remember when he won the Heisman. It was my sophomore year, I think. My freshman or sophomore year. And I just remember when they announced his name, I ran down the hall and I'm just screaming. I'm like, yes. I was
Our
just so
guy.
excited. I bleed maroon. I loved my college time and just everything there. The football team was amazing. We had a good basketball team. My brother played basketball at A&M while I was there.
Oh, fun.
So I was able
Oh.
to watch all his games, which was lovely because at first he played at UW. And so I wasn't able to go to Seattle from Houston. And then when he decided to transfer, it was between Baylor and Texas A&M. And he chose A&M. And I think that's probably a reason why I ended up going to A&M too, just so I could be with my brother. But
Okay. So you jumped me because I was curious, like around here, you know, there's a lot of schools in California to go to, but it's becoming much more popular to go out of state. So was Texas A&M always on your radar, kind of being from that state? And then, so, you know, was it your brother going that made you decide to go? And then will you expand a little bit on what you decided to major in?
yeah, so I didn't know. I moved to Houston my freshman year of high school because my dad's actually an NBA coach. And
Oh,
so we had to travel with him growing up. And so because of that, I've had to get up and move to Texas. I was born in Dallas, but didn't live here long enough to like claim Dallas. Then we bounced around a lot and ended up back in Texas. So my freshman year, when I got to high school, I've never even heard of Texas A&M. Coming from California, all I knew was Pac-12 at the time when it was 12 of them. Now
now
I
it's
don't even know.
Pac 2.
Yeah, just the Pac. It's just the Pac now. But yeah, all I knew was like the Pac-12 schools. Then I moved to Texas and then started learning about college admissions and how I think it's cheaper if you're an in-state resident. Because I wanted to get back to California so bad. I was like, I want to go back. My friends are back there. But now I love Houston and like all my friends are just like in Texas. But um I didn't want to go to A&M like because I didn't know what it was at first. But then once I started learning more about A&M and then learn about Texas, like University of Texas, and then I learned about Baylor. And then I started learning about smaller schools within Texas, like Lamar University and University of Houston. But I can say I never met with a college advisor, which if there's any like high schoolers listening to your podcast, let them know to meet with the college advisor. That's so important. And that's what I did when I first graduated A&M, but I can talk about that later. But if somebody had told me like, oh, you can get into this school with this GPA and this SAT score, then, go here. But I didn't know that. So I'm applying to all these schools and not getting any like acceptance letters. I was like, what's going on? I know I'm smart. Like I just made A's and B's on my report card.
Yeah.
And so when my brother decided that he wanted to transfer, I went with him. It was me, my mom, and my dad. We all went with him to his visits. So we went with him to Baylor and at A&M. And then just seeing both of those campuses, I was like, oh, these are beautiful schools. And when I went to A&M, I was talking to some of the coaches and just mention, I was like, hey, like I'm a senior or no, junior in high school, and just kind of looking at colleges. And they're like, well, if you want to go to A&M, like we could put you in contact with like some like advisors that can help you. So I think that was probably another decision on, or another reason why I ended up wanting to go to A&M, because I had people willing to help me
Sure.
help me get there.
Yeah.
And so I ended up transferring to A&M. I went to a junior college for a year and transferred. But I wanted to, my brother, that was I would say that was a big reason, just to also be with him and watch his basketball games.
Sure. I think that path too of a junior college is very helpful if there's a very specific four-year college you're trying to target and it's hard to get into. Can we just really quickly talk about the nugget that Taylor just dropped, that her dad's an NBA coach?
Yep.
And shame on us that we didn't do our research.
That's okay. I didn't say anything.
Who's your dad, and what team does he coach?
Oh, my dad's name is Elston. His name is Elston Turner. Right now, he's with the Timberwolves.
Ooh, Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yeah, this is third season with them. He's been an assistant coach, longtime assistant coach, my whole life. So
in Sacramento, was he with the Kings?
And then before that, it was Portland. So I was born in Dallas, then moved around a little bit, ended up in Portland. That's where he got his first NBA job, assistant coach. And he was there for a couple of years. Then he went to Sacramento, then to Houston. And both, I feel like when he was in SAC, that was when they were like the best. When we had like Chris Webber and
they weren't good until last year again.
Yep.
Span of time.
Exactly. So he went from SAC then to Houston, which is what brought us to Houston, and then Phoenix, Memphis, back to SAC, back to Houston, and now he's in Minnesota. But luckily I graduated already. Like I didn't have to travel after Houston. But my parents, they weren't with like splitting up. Like my brother, he's older than me. He wanted to stay in Sacramento because he had one more year of high school left. And he was like begging my parents if he could just stay in Sacramento instead of getting up and move to Houston. But my parents were like, no. Like,
not gonna happen.
We're all moving. So we all moved to Houston. But then my senior year, they actually let go of the coaching staff in Houston. And so my dad ended up going to Phoenix, but I had already graduated. So if I didn't graduate, then I would have had to do the same thing as my brother and just got up and had to move to Phoenix for my last year of high school. And, I probably wouldn't have went to Texas A&M. I probably would have stayed in Arizona somewhere.
There's so many, oh my gosh, this just opened up a can of worms, but that I'm not supposed to go down because I tend to do that, Taylor. I get off topic, but
it's okay.
Go for it.
I think it's so fascinating. A really good friend of mine, back in the day, her dad was a coach for the Raiders. And so a very similar path like you moved around a lot. He coached for the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Saints. So she had been everywhere. And they decided when she got into high school, the mom and my friend were going to stay no matter where he got a job at that point, because they wanted her to just be in one high school.
Yeah.
But how do you feel? I have so many questions now, but how do you feel all of that moving around and having to adapt and adjust and transform quickly into a new environment helped you at LMU with a sport you weren't really familiar with and people that you didn't really know? Because it seems like you can just, like, that would be really helpful.
And it was, because all the cities were different. Portland, I know, like my brother and I, when we were in elementary school, I think my brother and I, we were the only two like Black people in our elementary school. And then when we moved to Sacramento, there's a little bit more, but there was a lot.
Not a lot.
Yeah, just a little bit. And I lived in Roseville. I don't know if you've ever been to Roseville.
I know Roseville very well.
Okay, so so it was like that. And then we moved to Houston, where Houston is a
very diverse
melting pot of all cultures. There was a lot of everybody at my high school. So I definitely think growing up in the situation I was in and going to all those cities definitely helps with the person I am now. Like I get along with all kinds of people. I'm very diverse. I have a diverse group of friends, all ethnicities, all sexualities, like just I just love everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's just how I grew up. And it
Mhm.
definitely helps with at LMU as well. Just quickly learning how to I guess adapt, even when it comes to just learning, like you said, different sports that I didn't know, but I
Mhm.
know that I am a quick learner and a quick adapter.
Yeah. And you're learning
So
to deal
yeah.
your whole life. You've had to deal with different personalities and different places that viewed you differently. Right.
Mhm.
And I mean, I just got done doing Giants Fan Fest in Sacramento at the River Cat Stadium, and Dusty Baker is back with the Giants. Of course, he had Houston for several years, took you
Mhm.
guys to a World Series and
Yeah.
won. And Dusty always tells me because he grew up in Sacramento.
Mhm.
And he said there was two Black people like in his town, and it was him and his brother. And it like you
Yeah.
don't think about that in California. You think California is pretty diverse, and there are a lot of cities in this state that are not diverse at all, or
Mhm.
they're heavy, one culture and ethnicity. And so I find that fascinating, how that moving around affected what you do and probably plays a huge role in what you do today. It's
Yeah,
really
I wouldn't trade it
interesting.
for the world. Like I used
Yeah.
to, like, during it, like getting up and moving, it was hard because I didn't want to leave my friends.
Yeah, you're a
Um,
teenager. Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
but looking back on it now, I'm like, not everybody had this opportunity. Like
You've
it's
seen a lot.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes, like I've done a lot, I've seen a lot, I've met a lot of people.
hmm
So it's a blessing.
Okay, one more, Celeste, and then you go.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Did
Amy.
dad play pro?
He did. Yeah, so he had got drafted by the Mavericks.
Nice.
And I think that might
Yeah,
be why I was born in Dallas.
I'm sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
he,
makes
he met
sense.
my mom. He met my
We're just gonna tell you, Taylor, that's why.
mom. He met my
It's
mom in
Hundred
part of this
Dallas.
podcast.
100%. That's why you were born.
But yeah, he was drafted by the Mavericks, and then he ended up going to Denver after, then went to Chicago, and he actually played with Michael for a little bit. So they're friends.
Woo!
And so yeah, I met Michael a
Nice.
couple times.
Taylor's just dropping
What?
knowledge.
Do you have a
I
picture with
we hang
Michael?
we hang out with Michael Jordan.
Probably,
Oh my gosh,
probably
I want to see that
somewhere.
picture.
That's
Yeah, he was when I
fantastic.
was in third grade. He was playing, but he was with the Wizards at the time. I think he had
Mhm.
already did his baseball and then came back.
Oh,
Um,
or you're talking about Jordan now.
yeah, Michael
Yeah.
Jordan. Yeah. Sorry, not my
Yeah.
dad. No, my
Well,
dad.
as soon as you said baseball, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Michael Jordan. But yeah, he was my Valentine in third grade. I
Oh,
gave
I
him
bet.
those cute, those Valentine things that you give
Yes.
your friends. I put a chocolate on top, and I was like, here.
Michael,
Did he give you one back?
No, but it's okay. It's all good. I knew the love was there.
maybe he'll listen to this and
And
give you
remember it.
one.
Right?
You
I
one.
haven't seen him in so long, but I know like if I just like, hey, I'm Elston's daughter, he will probably
I
like,
love
oh
that.
my
Oh,
gosh. It's so
Oh
crazy.
man.
So crazy when
Oh, okay.
all right, Taylor, we're turning it back to you
Okay,
now.
I'm
I'm
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
sorry.
sorry. Okay, we're here.
I
We're
love
here.
these stories. We're
Yeah,
gonna
we're
turn it back
here.
to you though. We want to spotlight
We're
you.
here.
What went into your decision for your major at Texas A&M?
So I knew I wasn't a math person or like
That's always I'm communications too, and that's I do math.
We're like one,
I
two,
do
three.
like
1, 2. No.
I like talking to people. And like growing up, I did theater. And so just being able to talk to people and all that kind of stuff is just something I always enjoyed. And so when I learned about communications at A&M, they have communications, but then they have agricultural communications and journalism, which is what I did. So the difference was, I guess, with ad com and journalism was a little more hands-on.
Mm.
I had a friend who did just regular communications, and I don't think they were as hands-on and doing just a whole bunch of stuff like we were in on our side. But when I chose AgCom, I didn't know that because I'm in the College of Agriculture, there's also classes within that college that I have to take. So I had to take agriculture related classes as well. So I took animal science and horticulture. What did I take? The study of bugs. I can't think what that's called.
Oh, wait,
And
I know this. Oh my
Um,
gosh. I know this. It's something ology.
Ent entomology?
Entomology.
Entomology. So there we go. So I took all those classes and, I'm like, what does that have to do with communications? But it could be everything, like if you want to work at a entomology business and they need a communications director, like everybody needs a communications person. So learning these things, it wasn't like you weren't just learning it just because.
Right. It could be
You never
applicable
know.
at some point. Yeah. I mean, it was the same hunt at Davis because it's an ag school. So
Okay,
even though
yeah.
I was a comms major and I was under like the College of Letters and Sciences, you still had to take classes of ag just because that's what the school was known for. Now they have viticulture, so wine classes but you're so spot on. And I think that's like a really important message for people to hear from you, that you used it in sports. But if you study communications, you can really go into any industry, and we concentrate on sports for sure, but you could pop out of sports at any time. So for anybody who's like in sports and they're like, well, I'm stuck. No, you're not. If you're a communications major or you work in PR, media relations, that skill set, which we're always talking about, identifying your skill set, can translate to any business. All businesses need press releases. All businesses need social media. Like it's really smart actually to do that. Yeah. Let's chat about internships, because I know you did some, and I fully believe in what I do as, a reporter. I've been an on-camera reporter for a long time, and that is a launching pad for sure into getting into television. Where do you stand on the importance of internships and getting them, and what's your recommendation about them?
Yeah, internships, they are super important because they help you get your foot, or not get your foot in the door, but get your feet wet. That's
Sure.
get your feet wet to see if it is like something that you want to do or not. Like you don't want to just dive into something thinking it is like what you want to do, and it's like, this ain't it. What I thought it's not. But in the internship, at least you'll realize that, and you can get your credit if you're in college. And as far as like internships outside of college, so because I know people can still get internships after graduating.
Yes.
I think those are important as well, just for the same reasons. I know I did an internship when I was in college, and I had worked with when my dad was in what's that city? In Memphis. When he was in Memphis, it was winter break, and I was able to do an internship with them.
With the Timberwolves?
Oh
no, I'm thinking Minnesota.
The Grizzlies?
Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah,
sorry,
Grizzlies.
my bad. M's.
Yeah, that's a lot of M's. I still sometimes say Memphis, but I think when it came to me and be able to do that internship, that helped us a lot because I was able to keep those connections. And to this day, even though that was probably like 10 years ago, I still see some of those people because they still work within the organization. I was like, oh, like, thank you. Like, I still just say thank you for the times that you let me work there for the week. But no, internships and just even, I would say, part-time jobs as well. If you want to work in sports, looking for a part-time job is also a good start. That's what I did, because I wanted to work in sports right after I graduated college, but I realized very quickly that it is hard to work in sports, and I needed a job. I needed a job after college. And so I ended up working at a high school and just did college advising. But then I ended up getting a part-time job while I was still working at that school, but I was working with the Texans. And then from there, that's kind of helped me transition to getting a full-time job in communications.
And I love that little nugget you're talking about with the part-time job, because I think there are a lot of people out there that, will say, oh, if it's not full-time, I'm not going to go for it. And you learn so much from those part-time gigs where it's just you're either getting your foot through the door, showing up, being responsible so that people hire you full-time, or you're actually learning skill sets that will take you into a direction that you really want to go in. So I love, love, love that you said that, because I think a lot of people, again, just always want that full-time job or nothing. So love that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, piecemealing it together too, right?
Mhm.
I mean, my first job in TV was part-time, $8 an hour at 3 in the morning. And
Wow.
I've told this story before, but I thought my father was going to throw up. Like, he's like, what? You went to 4 years of college and that's what but I was like, no, this is how it works,
Mhm.
and it's great for time management. And it's also great for money management. You learn how to live on very little and you pick up other jobs at other hours to make ends meet, which is then you're like, I can do anything if I can live off $8 an hour.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely.
yeah, I had 3 jobs. I had a part-time job at CNNSI overnight in Atlanta.
Mhm.
And then I worked at a store called The Limited, no longer around.
I worked there.
You did? Oh my
I
gosh,
worked
Limited
there.
buddies.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Things we don't know about
Spent
each
everything
other.
I made on clothes. Yep.
Yep, exactly. And then I also worked in a restaurant. So I just
Yep.
was like, you know what? I want to get in through that door. How do I make it work? And part-time was definitely the answer for me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, take us through the rest of your job path from the
Mhm.
Texans to ending up where you are now.
Yeah. What else have you done?
So when I worked with the Texans, that was in 2017. And I worked with them for a couple seasons and it was really, really nice. I was able to work the Super Bowl when it was in Houston. So I was able to see that. And so that was cool. And they also would have soccer games at NRG, the Gold Cup. I think it's what it's the Gold Cup. So I was able to work the Gold Cup. And then after that, I realized I wanted to live in LA just for personal reasons. I was like, I just want to live in LA. Like I do other stuff besides like communication, like what I do at my job. I do a lot of outside stuff as well, and which is why I wanted to move to LA.
Is that because of the theater?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's always gonna be in me. That's always gonna be in me.
I hope it does. I hope it stays. I hope it
Yeah.
does. It's
Thank
great.
you. Yes, it's very important. I feel like to like do things outside of work as well to keep you busy.
Mhm.
But moved out here and started working with the Chargers. I reached out to them and they said that I can work during game days. I was like, okay, perfect. And as far as with the Clippers, I started doing that as well. And I used to work the NBA Summer League is from, or not used to, I still do, but 2017, I worked the Summer League. That was my first time. And I started meeting people through working the Summer League. And one of the guys who works at the Summer League is the director of communications for the Clippers. So I was like, oh, I live in LA. Well, why don't I just reach out to him? And so I reached out and I told him like I live in LA. If y'all need any help with anything, like let me know. I did communications back home in Texas. Like I would love to do it with you guys. And he told me I can. So I was able to work game nights for the Clippers past 2 seasons. And those were my experiences that I guess that got me this LMU job. And kind of like what you were mentioning, Celeste, was all my experiences have been part-time. They've never been full-time. And at first I'm like, I don't think anybody's gonna hire me because I don't have any full-time experience. Like I've been working in PR for when I got this job in 22. So I've been working communications for I would say probably like 5 years, but it just wasn't 5 years of full-time work.
Mhm.
And in my mind, I'm like, it's not full-time. They're not gonna hire me. But LMU gave me a chance. They
We
said
just talked about this.
yeah, they liked my resume and everything, and they gave me a chance. And even though I've never had this type of responsibility, I could learn. And that's all that's what I've been doing. They had to teach me pretty much everything because I've never wrote a story or anything like that. Like in college I did, but post college I never did. And I remember on my very first day, I posted I had to write up an article and post it online. And I asked my boss, I was like, you sure? Like this is my first day. I don't even know. He's like, just look at old ones and kind of feel and just write something up. I'll look over it and then I'll show you how you can post on the back end of the website. I was like, okay. And on my first day, there was a story
Posted an article.
It's like, look at
Nice.
you, girl.
It's so refreshing to hear. We just talked about this with our last guest about the approach women take versus men to jobs that they don't feel they're 100% qualified for.
Mhm.
And if women, there's this percentage of women, if they aren't 100% qualified, they just don't apply. But men can feel like they're 60%
Mhm.
qualified and they're like, yeah, I'm going to go for it. So good for you that
Yeah.
you didn't even have enough time to be qualified for it, really. Like, you're still kind of putting it together, but that doesn't mean you can't become qualified. And I love that MLU, at least what I think Celeste and I are seeing in you is just this grinder mentality. Like, I'll figure it out. So, bring it. And I would hire that all day long over 5 years of experience and they're not fun or they're not, real
Yeah.
personable.
Amen.
Like, yeah. So
Thanks. Yeah.
yeah,
I
good for
try to be
you.
myself. That's all I could
That's
do.
the most important thing to be is
Yeah.
authentic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Authentic.
Well,
Yeah.
and let's talk about your resume because I know it's very important to you, Taylor. You were talking about resumes and how important they are. What was so great about your resume that stood out, and what advice can you give others about really taking that resume seriously?
My resume. That's a good question. I would say what stood out from my resume. Um, well, I'm not good at like resume writing, but of course the way you write, the way it,
Mm-hmm.
your verbiage on your resume. But I think because I was able to do a little bit of everything, and I was able to dabble into different sports. Like when I was working with the Texans, I mentioned I was able to work soccer games. And then what else did I do? And like work in the Super Bowl and then different levels as well. So I've done
Mm-hmm.
some stuff with professional sports, and then I've done stuff with college sports and also working in a high school. I didn't think my high school job would really, I guess, do anything because I'm like, it's not sports related, but I learned a lot. Like that was my
Yeah.
very first job. So I learned how to work with people who were like, I guess, a lot older than me. Because at the time I was only 22, working with people who were like at the time like 30, 40, 50. So like I was the youngest person in the school. And so I think that kind of made my resume stand out. And advice I would give is don't leave anything out. Don't think just
Mm.
because you might think it wasn't important or it was nothing. Somebody might see it and be like, "Oh, that's really cool that you did this. That's a brownie point. We go put your
Mm-hmm.
resume up higher because of
Mm-hmm.
that. You
You
know,
never know.
but you just never know."
You never know. You should put it all in there. I want to ask you too, you talked about really needing to do other things in LA, which is what brought you out there. And there's more to you than this job. Where do you stand on work-life balance? And when we first started the interview, you were already saying, my hours aren't traditional. How do you navigate through non-traditional hours and finding work-life balance?
Um, well, it is important to find things that you like to do, like I said earlier, like outside of work. I'll never forget one of my coworkers years ago, back when I was in Houston. Um, he told me that he loved to write, but once he started working this job that we were working at, he wasn't able to write anymore.
No time.
Yeah. And I just told myself I never want that to happen. Like all the
Mm-hmm.
things that I like to do, I still want to be able to do that on top of my job. Because kind of like, more than an athlete, like I'm more than my job. Like I just started this job in 2022. I can't stop being what I was from August 2022 prior. And I'm still going to be the same Taylor for when, if however long I at this job. So I just think it's important to keep being you, keep doing those same things, work-life balance, because
Mm-hmm.
work can be a lot. Yeah, you have to figure out what can be your peace when
Mm-hmm.
you leave work. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you like to read? Do you need a rest? Do you work out? Working out is
Mm-hmm.
important. Working out mentally and working out physically.
Very true.
So that's just really important to make sure you use your PTO because that's why you have it. Take the time off if you need it, Because I mean, the jobs some people can reach a breaking point, but if you don't use that, use your PTO or just take a step back, like it could get bad and you don't want it to get there,
Well, in seasons, they're long and they're emotional. They're very draining, and successful seasons, those are fun, but they're don't always happen. And so you have to find that ability to navigate through the emotional side of a sports season and the emotions of the athletes and the coaches and the staff. And it's a lot's on the line once you get to the college level. And so it becomes, very stressful.
Yeah. So you just have to know how to manage it.
Yeah.
When you're talking, you light up, and it's so fun to see. You're lighting up, talking about the things you love to do. You're such a strong communicator. And Amy and I come across a lot of introverts who really want to work in sports. Do you think there is a place for introverts, and what advice would you have them to get into media relations and what you do?
Yeah, I would say take your time and do what's comfortable to you. Don't like if you see somebody who is a broadcaster and doing all this stuff, if that doesn't feel comfortable to you, there's other ways to be in community. Like I'm not in front of a camera ever for my job, but I still work.
You are now.
Until now.
Well, I am
famous.
But that's not like my day to day, so that's fine for someone who's more introverted. I also would say practice, maybe start talking to your friends more and like making eye contact. That's definitely something that's hard for people. And it's still hard for me sometimes. Like I have to like practice making sure I'm staring at, well, not staring because that's creepy, but
don't be creepy.
Like just making eye contact.
Yes,
the person know I'm engaged, like I'm here, I'm understanding. And for some people that's hard, and it's something but it can be worked on. So that's what I would say. Just practice. Maybe practice with everybody has a phone for the most part, or something that they can maybe record themselves so they can see what they look like and how they sound. They can work on that and eventually build their way up to doing whatever it is they want to do in communications.
Well, I think a lot of times too, when you're in media relations, PR, and sports, the athletes, the coaching staff, usually broadcasters are extroverts and a little loose-lipped at times with some information. Media relations, PR, it's really important to kind of have that vault aspect to you, that you can build the trust you need with the athletes and the coach, especially the staff, because the staff's going to be there a lot longer, hopefully, than the athletes are. And I think that's key to what you're saying, and eye contact, and take your time. The people you're working with need to know that you care about them. And that's part of your job, right? Is to take care of them, not put them in an interview that's going to catch them off guard, or to make sure that the information you're giving to Celeste at the basketball game is accurate and that you're taking care of that athlete. So I think that's really good advice. I'm going to ask you one last one before we let you go. And it's just a little more general. That was kind of more about introverts and extroverts, but just best piece of advice you've been given about a career and working in sports. What's something that you fall back on if the day's been tough?
There's a couple. One that my dad told me is like, don't be afraid of hard work. Never be afraid to work hard. And also some advice would be just have fun. Have fun with it. Like this is what we do every single day. Like you're going to go to your job every day. Make it fun. I do. Like I always go into work and I feel like laughter is medicine for the soul. For me, I love to laugh and make people laugh. And I'm also like, we're here 8 hours a day on the weekends. Like we got to have some kind of fun.
So true.
So just make it fun, and it'll be all right.
I like that.
Right.
I'm gonna remember that.
Yeah.
Yep. Taylor Turner.
Woo-hoo!
Great job.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me. I had a blast. Like I said, I was a little nervous, but the nerves went out the window.
Yeah.
Yay.
You have a story to
After
tell,
Christmas.
my dear. We appreciate your time, and I think that you're such a shining light for young girls and women in general trying to get into sports, and I think they're going to really enjoy your interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Taylor.
You've been listening to Girl, How'd You Get That Gig with hosts Amy G and Celeste Gehring. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and follow us on Instagram. The handle is @GirlGigPodcast. Followers and subscribers are automatically entered to win our giveaway prizes, announced every other Wednesday on our Instagram page. Until our next episode, go get that gig.